Yes, but my heart was in the right place.
We gave him what he wanted. We made him solid.
Oh, Odo. So many naked men.
I live in hope.
Yes, that's right. What you gonna do when judgment comes for you? And it's come for Odo here on season 4, episode 26 of D9. This is D9 and 9ish. I'm your host, Jeff Mader. With this episode, Broken Link, joined as always by my brother, Dave Mader. Dave, how are you?
I'm a bit under the weather, but I'm here to talk Broken Link. I got a bit of a disease. I don't know who gave it to me. Maybe the founders. I can't hold my shape.
Well, glad to know you're here. Glad to know you're willing to sit in judgment. Okay, we have the Millards here. How are you guys? Are you ready to talk about Odo tonight?
Always ready to talk about Odo.
Yes, it's not Waxana, so it's okay. Also, last but not actually, we're gonna have a late dropping guest, Davan, but
I'm not last.
But we're not the second last, but not least, Jaemeel Robinson. Bringing him on in. Are you ready to talk about the judgment that came for Odo tonight at the crossroads?
Yes, and also Claudia Cleavage as well.
Right, and Claudio Cleavage. Okay. This episode's it's a good finale. It's not it's a cliffhangery kind of finale. It's mostly an Odo focused episode. There is some things about Garak here. I would say he kind of gets the B plot, I would say, of any major character here. But for the most part, it's Odo focused, and it's all about, yes, he has a disease, as Dave alluded to, and they have to go figure out what's wrong with him, and how to fix him is to go into the Gamma Quadrant and find the Dominion so they can cure him in the Great Link. But it's not what it seems. Dave, what do you make of this episode and the premise?
Okay, well, like, there was my reaction years ago, like when I first saw it, and and it's largely the same back then, where you feel sad for Odo, but on the other hand, I know where this is gonna go, and I know he's gonna get back his changeling abilities again, and things are gonna be okay for Odo, more or less. And so there was more in this episode that I didn't remember. There's a lot of Garak in this episode. I did not remember that fight between him and Worf when he tried to bomb the planet near the end. He got 6 months, which
trying to kill everyone
for trying to commit genocide. Yeah. But Odo says it as much
and suicide, to be honest.
Right.
6 months in a holding cell.
Well, if you ask me, Captain Sisko let you off lightly. Sabotage, assaulting a Federation officer, attempting to incite war between the Federation and the Dominion.
Yes, but my heart was in the right place.
Well, that's an important quote because, I think that kind of represents what Garak's all about in this episode, that, it all has to do. He goes on this mission to figure out what happened to all the Cardassians who were killed or maybe taken prisoner by the Dominion on the assault they saw coming. The changelings are always one step ahead of everybody. And so Garak wants to know what happened to all those Cardassians. And so that's why he goes on this mission. And also he convinces Sisko that he would be a good bedtime story person for Odo. And so I think that was important too. Ashley, Kevin and Ashley, did you enjoy Garak tagging along on the? Did you also agree with was Sisko doing the right thing bringing Garak on this mission?
I always enjoy Garak in an episode. Always. I don't think he should have been brought along, but I think, Sisko, he brings shady characters along on things all the time, just in case he needs them.
In case he needs someone to poison a planet or commit genocide or anything. I wish, though, if he was going to bring him along, that we got a little more of the story time.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I was working as a gardener at the Cardassian embassy.
Yes, and I think they leave a little bit of the story time out because he makes all these Odo makes all these deductions out of things I don't think they had in the episode. about like different Romulan ambassadors who died or whatnot, and I just love Garrick. Garrick's he's always so cheeky. He's always like, you're getting warmer and stuff like like stuff like that he says.
I promise you, I'll conjure up enough innuendos, half-truths, and bald-faced lies about my so-called career in the Obsidian Order.
What do we make of Garrick playing matchmaker at the beginning of this episode?
I think that's a very interesting conversation that occurs at the beginning, because like the whole time I'm just thinking like, he's lying to himself. Like the biggest lies, like the things that get you upset are usually the things that bother you the most. And I think with Odo, it's like he starts lying to himself about like, oh, these superficial customs of mating that human solids that he sounds like the female founder when he's talking, when he's like in love with Kira. And so it's complete nonsense, really.
Odo's full of shit all the time. Like it's one of the fundamental things about Odo is that he's kind of always in denial about what he wants, who he is. Even like when Worf was like, "Don't go talk to him because he told me he doesn't like that," and he doesn't like socialization. And Dax is like, he was socializing with you when he said that, right? And I think that, I don't know, like there's kind of like Odo is one of these guys that, he's curmudgeon-y, but he's sort of like deep down, he's got a heart, especially now after this one where he actually does have a heart. I think that that Garrick is trying to do something nice for him. He's like, hey, this lady despite her best judgment or mine, like is interested in you for whatever reason. So you want to, check her out. Do you think that she's supposed to be like Nana? Is she supposed to be like Kira? Like she's kind of like the same frame, and she's Bajoran and whatever.
I think my theory here is, guys, and Jaemeel, tell me if you think I'm right about this. I think she is the one that infects him right here when the handshake happens, and I think that she's actually a changeling. Yes, we never see her again. She's at the end of the episode, right? But like, she's, to me, I would guess that this woman is a spy. This is my fan theory. Jaemeel, tell me if this makes any sense.
And Garrick's involved somehow.
I don't think Garrick's involved, but I do think that, like, okay, the whole thing that occurs.
We can't hear you.
It's good because I was just ranting and raving about you mistreating, right, the saint Jill Jacobson, right?
Wait,
how dare you?
Listen to me from a conspiracy theory point of view.
I mean, I heard you. I heard you. How dare you? How dare you attack the matters of the heart? Okay.
I think Dave is onto something here, or that she. I don't think it's a coincidence that she looks a lot like Kira.
That's what Garrick's doing.
I don't think it's a coincidence that she has interest in Odo when no one else ever seems to, except Roxana, who also used him in the last episode that we saw of Odo. Like, I don't think the whole thing at the end of this episode is like they already knew he was sick. They already knew Kira had moved on with Shakar. How did they know these things? They seem to have spies everywhere. Oh,
like Garrick.
Well, they could have Garrick, I guess, but I don't think Garrick's working for the Founders. I think it's more likely that they have a changeling, and I think it's this Bajoran lady who infects them right here.
I have to go with the Millards. I think that Garrick, despite his best plans, he probably has a whole list of information that he is capturing about what's happening on the station, and they can easily intercept it, right? So to think that they would have to go to the trouble to have an actual spy on the station, they don't need to do that. They already have one. Garrick, despite his best intentions, is probably working unbeknownst for the Founders, right? Now, at the same time, how dare you say that someone would not be interested in a hardworking, prompt gentleman like Odo, who is there all the time like a clock, right? 9:37 in front of her shop. She looks out, she has a new store, and she sees someone.
A new store. Coincidence? I think not.
What? So she was on Bajor. She gathered all the shekels she could, and she's like, "I'm gonna make a go at it."
I got a question about this.
Okay.
Where is this restaurant on the upper level supposed to be located exactly? I've never seen any restaurants other than Quark's on the second level.
So she's bringing
What's new?
competition.
I've never seen it. Not at Canada.
Just because you haven't seen how many times?
Isn't the Klingon restaurant up on the
Nope.
No.
second
It's
floor?
on
No.
the bottom.
How
On the
good a
bottom floor.
spy is Garrick when he can start this whole episode doing something completely out of the ordinary for him?
Yeah.
And then and we think it's a conspiracy, but there's no possible way he's involved.
He is that good. I will agree with that.
But
Okay.
she was. I felt she was coming on like very strong on Odo.
Okay, so
Right.
what is your theory? How does he get infected? The whole episode starts with this conversation. She shakes his hand. Right after that, he goes into convulsions. How am I not supposed to deduce? I don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure this out.
Do you not think that the Great Link is not somehow connecting changelings, even though they might not be physically attached to the Great Link?
Well, I never thought about it that way. That's getting into a metaphysical conversation.
I think that they want to infect Odo. It's not that hard to do. Like they basically just have to get a changeling to get onto the station
And shake his hand.
and shake his hand. I guess it could have been her, but they don't reveal that, so I don't think it is. You know, it's just supposed to be some lady who runs a restaurant at the station, and he kind of considered going on a date with once.
Unless it shows up on Star Trek Online, I don't consider it canon.
Star Trek Online is not canon.
Only person with an ulterior motive through this whole episode is Garrick.
That's true. But he also introduces her to Odo.
Mm-hmm.
So
It seems like something more like Quark would do. Like what you
Of course,
suggested.
it's
Quark
fine.
would do it to distract him, not necessarily try to poison him.
Quark loves the back and forth relationship with Odo, and we do see that later on in this episode when he like says goodbye to him. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna, smuggling's gonna go up 60%," and like he's like, "I'll be back," and their whole relationship is like they
Cat and
act,
mouse.
they act like they hate each other, but they really love each other, and they would never actually want anything bad to happen to each other.
They're each other's foils.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Jaemeel, quick question about the Klingon Empire here.
I thought
Gowron.
we're moving too fast. I want to talk more about Jill Jacobson.
What do you want to know?
Did
What do
you like
want
that? Did you like the dress that she had in the beginning?
Jill Jacobson.
First-
Who the hell is Jill Jacobson?
It's the girl. The what's her name? She was in
the
the Party
discount-
Down and Castle. you
Discount
go.
non-visitor?
Yes, discount. I honestly thought, I'm like, is that the non? I'm like, wait, no, it isn't. No, it isn't.
It was like her understudy at like theater.
Yes, literally. Literally after watching the episode, I went and looked her up, and then I saw her comedy. His comedy is terrible. She tried stand-up. Not everyone should try stand-up. Let me just say, right? All I could say from her first performance, that was like about 7 minutes, was she is very Jewish.
Right.
Very Jewish.
Yeah.
And that's not like me being like, it's like you watch it very Jewish. Anyways, Dave, dress in the beginning of the episode versus dress at the end.
I gotta look at the one at the end. Hold on a second.
Oh, she's wearing like a silver one at the end.
Yeah,
Like some snake skin.
I think the one at the beginning is better than the one at the end.
She looks more like Nana in the second one. They really again. I think there's a fan theory to be explored here that this woman is actually a changeling and that she's purposely made to look like a non-visitor. I don't think I do think there's something there.
There's nothing there.
I think that they were thinking of in the next season going to use her as like a plot device to cause friction, and they just dropped it and decided, sorry, Jill Jacobson, we won't be needing your services anymore.
Yeah, we watched her stand-up comedy and we're moving on.
She did that much later. More recent.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Have we said what we wanted to say about Jill Jacobson?
Jacobson,
We
yes.
can move on. We can move on.
I don't know.
about the Klingon
Can
Empire.
we?
You want okay. At what point does comedy concerning you being a cougar stop being comedy. And to me, it's at the very beginning.
You know what?
It's a lame subject. I just think it's terrible.
I'm not done with the Jill Jacobson conversation because I want to ask Davan about this.
Okay.
Davan,
Yo,
at the beginning of this episode, a woman is introduced to Odo, who shakes his hand, a Bajoran woman who has just recently come to the station and opened a new restaurant on the second level, which we never see throughout the entire show. Is this woman actually a changeling, and is actually the woman that infects Odo, which starts the whole plot of this episode? Is she actually an imposter that Garrick even maybe is involved with, and is actually a changeling that is sent there to infect Odo on purpose?
well, because I've seen the entire series, I'm going to have to say no. She's not a changeling that infected Odo.
How did Odo get infected?
Do you really want me to spoil that? It's coming up in episodes coming up.
Sure.
The Federation do it to him.
Don't they give him a different disease?
They
No,
do.
they-
They
they-
give him something different that he infects
The founders
The
with.
founders.
Oh.
with. They infected
that is
him
different.
this one to get him to go back to join the Great Link to.
Oh.
So my fan theory still exists.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I'm back on board.
Because at this point,
I was
he's already
confusing
infected
my
by the
Odo
Federation.
infections. They're always infecting Odo. It's easy to get confused.
I was mixing up my Odo.
For
Now,
people
you're-
that don't know his biology very well, they really were able to infect him pretty easily.
Look, they don't like you don't need to shake his hand. They can literally just walk beside the dude and bump into him and do the exact same thing.
No, I know, but the episode that I watched, a woman comes.
She did not turn into a changeling at the end of the episode, Jeff.
She doesn't need to.
She does need to for this to hold any water, or in a future episode of the series, which never happened.
Would he not sense that she's a changeling?
She's not a changeling. She's just a
If there was
Bajoran woman.
physical contact,
I think there's something
would
to be
Odo
explored here.
not recognize that she's a changeling?
You guys are too quick
No.
to defend this.
Yeah, but
Jill
how long was Bashir a changeling on?
That's
right.
only after he got turned into a solid.
I guess, yeah, that's true.
But he can eat. But the whole time that other changeling was there, the one he killed, the one that he goes on trial for, he couldn't tell that guy was a changeling. For
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think this is necessarily foolproof.
He could tell
And-
Leighton was, though.
only because Layden gave him some stink eye.
He did give
It's
him
him.
that. That is true. That is a verifiable fact. Okay.
She was giving him a different type of eye.
All right, let's move on to the Klingon aspect of this episode. So Gowron shows up on the screen and it says, "Get out of Arcanus 4
Surrender
sector."
while you can.
That's right. And he says, "We've captured some Cardassian colonies. The Federation better leave us alone or there'll be hell to pay." And, basically they start talking about it. And Worf says, if he's willing to, he just wants to go to war over something. And then Cisco says, I don't know about that. He's like, he seems to want a
Arcanus
bone.
system.
The Arcanus, whatever it is. He says that he wants a bone to pick, right? And the question is why? And they don't really understand why. And the reason why? Because he's a secret changeling. Boom, another secret changeling.
He's actually not, though.
Exactly. So Odo doesn't know shit.
Is Bashir a changeling at this point?
No. He's
So-
still wearing the other uniform. The uniforms matter. Hashtag.
So basically,
Yeah, you were, man.
the founders via the Great Link pulled a Scott Pilgrim, think of half and half coffee mix up against Todd Ingram. So implanted in mind via Inception that Gowron, right, a bug Gowron, to get him to do that.
That's right.
Mind of them.
Yeah. Right. So that is, we'll find that out next episode. But in this episode, it's all a theory and the non-visitors sneezing a lot. So that's a whole thing.
So who won the bet?
I say Worf won it.
Cisco.
Cisco says he won it, but I don't know if it's.
But then she sneezed afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that
Yeah,
make
but
it?
that's not in a chain of sneezes. They had a whole
Yeah,
conversation in between. That is a new sneeze.
That's Seinfeld establishes this.
Dave, is Seinfeld canon?
My favorite
Yes.
my favorite part of that whole scene is how
Itself.
annoyed Worf is to have to participate in the bet.
Yeah. He doesn't like socializing.
He basically
Yeah.
just says it to get it over with so they can go back
Yeah.
to war talk.
Did you just say 10 just so that he could 10? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it was kind of some fun dialogue between these this group here. I thought it was nice. O'Brien's not in this scene for some reason, but
We'll get to the O'Brien in this episode because I have a lot to say about O'Brien.
It's great blocking in the scene, though. Great blocking.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
who directed this episode? Les Landau. Okay.
So which is probably good that a cast member didn't direct this episode because they're all in it quite a bit. It's definitely an ensemble.
Not O'Brien.
episode.
He could have directed it, but
yeah, well, I don't think he's much of a director. But that's a whole other question. Okay, so then we got a scene here where Odo is in the sick bay, looking like a sad kid that just got his blanket taken away, and the Nana visitor Akira shows up and gives him some. No, is he in the cargo bay or is I don't know why he's okay. Sorry. And who is this purple woman? This purple-haired woman? Dave?
She's a smuggler.
Okay,
she's just some criminal that I don't know, like that Kira brings him the criminal activities report and he tries to go back to his job. I don't think we've seen her before. This
could this be our secret changeling?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone's a secret changeling, Jeff.
She could be.
I think this is a conspiracy episode if there ever was one. Okay, so yeah, he's doing his job. He's trying to be the lawman, laying down the law, but he's not well. So, no, he's sick with this terrible disease, and then that's when he ends up in the ICU, and Bashir has to deal with him, and he gives him a blanket as if he needs a blanket.
Blankets are tough to come by around Bajor.
Star Trek is big on blankets. You should have seen T'Pol and Archer get in a blanket last night in the Enterprise at 8 podcast.
That's okay.
And just to some cleanup and fact checking, the purple smuggler person, she appeared 3 times on Deep Space Nine.
She's very memorable.
Yes, 3 times.
That means she's ruled out. She never was shown as a changeling. She could never have possibly been a changeling.
So Homecoming, The Abandoned, and this episode, Broken Link. Her last appearance.
Sorry, what was the one before that? The two.
The Abandoned.
The Abandoned. That's like season 1.
I'm telling you, dude. Homecoming, The Abandoned, and Broken Link. 3 episodes.
It's kind of like the Odo Goes Home trilogy. Okay. We have Bashir tell him that he is very sick, and he's like, "Hey, want to go back to Bajor with that guy that worked on you for 7 years? That'd be a good idea, right?" Yeah. Dr. Moore. Odo says, "Nah." Then he goes, "How about we send you to Starfleet Medical? They'll do all sorts of wacky experiments on you. How about that?" And he goes, "No." And then Odo goes, "There's only one place we both know I need to go." And Bashir knows, and he says, "I thought we wouldn't have to
the
come
YMCA." No, probably not.
Young man,
Gel man.
That would have been great if Bashir had broken out into that in the middle of that episode. Okay, so then we get a scene here with Kira and Bashir both go to Sisko in his office and say, "Look, Odo's. We got to go to Dominion space to, figure out what's going on with Odo and take him back to their homeworld." And Sisko says basically yes, right? Like he goes, "It's risky, but we should probably go do this," right? Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I think that they're they don't know what else to do. There's no better, he's like, maybe we go to Starfleet Medical. That's the best alternative other than trying to ask your species how to fix this.
But he's only got a few weeks, and they basically say, "Kira, you're too pregnant. You got to stay here. You're sneezing all over the place. It's gross. It's gross in a sense.
No room for you, Sneezy. Get the fuck out of here."
Well, yeah, and sometimes I'm just somebody does in theory, have to run the station, right? So I guess
Not always.
They
It's
don't
not
care
even-
about
it's
that.
not even that she's super pregnant or that someone has to run the station. It's that they're going into a dangerous situation and she is pregnant with someone else's child. Like, she's like, I want to go and I want to put this child that's not mine into all this danger for no reason.
He's my friend.
Odo's her friend, Ashley. And O'Brien is
Keiko
not.
was repelling for fungus.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it's like the
Her
baby
friend.
can't win. No one
Keiko
cares
is her
about
friend
that.
because they're telling secrets about O'Brien.
Right, we'll get to that. Which
And
I
it
have
prepares
a
to
new
get
friend.
fungus.
a lot to say.
For fungus.
Kira doesn't care about children then. That's canon.
It's as if I have to remind her that she's pregnant.
It does if. Yes, you're right. It does if.
Lord.
Okay. So let's. All right. So they get onto the Defiant, and they have their whole glamour shots of Defiant leaving the station that they reuse and recycle multiple times on this show.
It's the intro.
It's the intro. It's where it goes into the
It's
wormhole.
literally the intro.
It's that's like they made no new footage for this. They were just like, let's just use that. We've been showing it off all season. And I will say, now that we're in the 4th season and it has that moment where like the Defiant like docks off and goes into the wormhole, I watch the intro most times now. Before that, like trying to watch the first 3 season intro. First of all, Michael Dorn's name not in the credits either. It's lacking. This is better.
No. I like the music from the first 3 seasons, but I do like the imagery from this.
The music's better in this one here.
I disagree. It's too slow. It's too fast. It needs to slow down. I need to hear that trumpet like in my heart.
I enjoy watching the little orange men in the intro section when they're on top of the pylon and they're like doing their thing. That's always my favorite part. But you know, that's for if you really got keen eyes. Okay, so they get onto the Defiant Bridge and they basically figure out, okay, Garrick wants to come on. And Worf isn't having it. Bashir doesn't like it.
Just as I thought.
But Cisco goes, you know what? Odo's annoying. Let's have a meeting with Garrick, and maybe we can have Garrick kind of occupy Odo's mind. So he says, you know what? I'll talk to Garrick, even though this seems stupid.
Garrick.
Tell him the ship is off limits to Cardassian spies.
That's a great reaction.
Just tell me that ship's off limit to Cardassian spies. No problem.
Right. Which
Like,
I always
Worf-
there's always great moments here where Cisco just ignores Worf. Yeah, and there's another moment in this episode where Worf goes to say something and Cisco stops him before he can. He just says, "Not now, Mr. Worf."
Not now, Worf. Yeah, but I like
Reminds me of that
No,
video
Mr. Wolf.
we shared before with just Picard telling Worf to be quiet. No,
If they could just do a montage of everyone just shooting Worf down, it'd be great.
His ass
The
kicked.
tidings will be silent.
Okay,
but
so Dave, go ahead.
Andrew Robinson, like huge breakout. Like I forgot how much he's in this. I forgot how good he is in this episode. Really, like I think he deserves a lot of credit for the writing and for how he plays it. Always.
I feel like now the more I watch Andrew Robinson play Garrick, the more I feel like he watched a lot of Silence of the Lambs and really studied Anthony Hopkins' performance of never blink and look like a crazy person all the time. And like I feel like that's a big part of what Garrick's character is like a Hannibal Lecter type like persona.
I'm a man of many talents.
Does anybody else see that? Like does that okay.
Yeah. The best part for me was his reaction to when talking to the founder. And the founder basically says, yeah, they're dead. They're all dead.
You're
Cardassian
dead.
is dead.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
That was
thank you for your
serious.
time. And then she leaves. And
Pleasure meeting you.
Yeah.
And his
He's like-
face just changes. Such a great moment.
It is.
Yeah.
It's great acting, and it's you know immediately that like, oh yeah, he was just being nice, but like she's got to be smarter than that too. Like, I mean, he might have
She
gotten
was
away with it.
scary in that moment, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was.
She's often
Uh,
scary. She's a maniacal warlord criminal type. Comment here from Polar Knights, Jeff. Garrick, I liked him. He is true to himself and others. A good spy.
Yeah, I mean, well, is that true? Is when a good spy? I feel like he's very passionate and he's very like I always look at him as a very like militaristic kind of person, or like patriotic in a lot
Very
of ways.
patriotic.
Right?
Yes.
Like he really cares about like Cardassians as like a people, but not really individual Cardassians. He doesn't seem to care for.
Like the concept of Cardassia.
Yeah.
He's about the culture.
He's for the culture.
Right.
Yeah. He's not for the individuals.
I mean, nobody likes individual Cardassians. I can't think of any examples anyway.
Right.
Not the
Like,
daughter.
It's Zial, and she's half Bajoran.
She's half Cardassian. They
Two
like
different
her Bajoran
actresses.
half.
And,
Yeah.
the one that Quark's like girlfriend there for one episode, the Cardassian lady. Yeah. Hey, Kat.
Okay. Can we talk a little bit about this unnecessary scene of Odo walking through the promenade looking like a gooey creature? And I felt like the only thing that was missing was somebody saying, shame, shame.
Really? I thought they were going to slow clap.
Slow clap. Slow
Yeah.
clap.
Or
I thought that this was weird. I thought that this was okay. First of all, they say that movement makes this disease worse, right? Him moving. So why not put him in a wheelchair? Why not?
Yes!
Why not
right?
transport him?
He wouldn't have it. There's no way he would have that.
Well, they said that transporters weren't a good idea because it was going to scramble his molecules more. So, but they could have put him. They could have just put him in a bucket and carried him to the Defiant too. For that
They
matter,
put him in a cryo tube.
Likes buckets.
No, look at how he walks out of there. He wants to walk out of there.
but he can't. He can't want them to see him like this.
I don't think he cares how people see him. It's more of like a point of pride. I think Kevin's onto it there. I think it's like, you're not gonna tell me. I still have my dignity, and I'm gonna
say the fuck you are. You're gonna friggin' be in this wheelchair, and we're gonna roll you there. I'm not spending 20 minutes for you to have pride to get.
They're like, the Defiant will leave without you. Don't worry. Wouldn't it be funny if the Defiant did leave without him?
That's a great point, Jaemeel, because this really says a lot about Bashir as a doctor. Like he gives into his patient here. I think, I think you're right. He should be like, absolutely not. You're not basic. But the fact that he is a changeling and that Bashir really doesn't know how to fix him or do really anything with him. I think he kind of like goes, you know what, do what you want. A lot of the times when Odo's sick, because he doesn't really know what to do.
He let
How good could he be? He doesn't even charge.
If Odo wants to walk out, what can Bashir do about it?
Yeah, Bashir is doing what doctors do. Patients go against medical advice all the time. Doctors can't force patients who are still in their right mind to do anything medically.
We've seen that he's not in his right mind. He went to pursue a criminal in his current state. He's a danger to himself.
He's code white.
He's not. There's no way that you could say that he's not mentally competent enough to decide to walk down the road. There's no way.
Odo was in Starfleet.
Walk down the promenade.
If he was in Starfleet, yes, I can absolutely understand that. All right, but geez, just like get in the damn bucket, dude. Seriously, not impressing anyone. We turned the corner. There's no one else here that you really, really know. Quark can't see you. Just
They're like,
jump in the bucket.
do you want us to clear the promenade? He asks this as they're walking to like the airlock. Like it's too late, man. Your chance to ask that question has kind of come and gone.
Start shooting into the air and clear the.
Yeah, get out of here.
It's like you all want to stand right beside me as I walk. That's your lives you're putting in your own hands.
Jeff, what do you think of this makeup though? Like, do you think it's
I think it deserved an Emmy.
Did it win?
Are we gonna look it up?
No, I don't know. I think he looks like he's halfway to being the Golgothan poop monster from Dogma.
Yeah.
That's what came to my mind anyway.
Oh, nice.
But that's how I looked at it. It's not bad, I guess. It goes with his Bajoran uniform that Dave loves. You know.
Yeah, it's the
It's the Incarian wool. You'll get used to it.
yeah,
it's itchy. Okay, speaking of that, we do have okay, so we'll start here with the Defiant bridge scene where O'Brien is pining about the fact that he feels naked that they're not using a cloak in the Gamma Quadrant. This is the only ship he's ever served on that has had a cloak, which is interesting. Then he goes on to talk. Oh no, that's later. Sorry,
that's later. Yeah,
yeah, we'll get to that. Then we go into the Garrick Odo scene.
We're not going to talk about the Dax naked men joke.
Okay, we can talk. What did she say about naked men? Go ahead, Jaemeel.
So many naked men.
So many naked men. Because Worf also comments about being quote unquote naked on the Defiant, not being in cloak, and then Dax is like, she starts giggling, and they're like, "What?" And she's like, "I'm just kind of happy about being surrounded by so many naked men."
Here's a naked man for you.
Naked Odo.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very weird seeing Rene Aubergenois as this like weird silky smooth seal of a man
with only hair on his head though.
With only hair on his head at the crossroads, and I don't know what to make of this episode.
Does Odo need to shave?
I don't know.
At his age, he's
He's 2 minutes old.
Bad shape, I guess.
I wonder what they do for an episode like this because, like, all right, Renee, you're gonna be totally naked. Does he have to go get waxed? Like, what is the procedure? He's got some hair, or some chest hair, some leg hair.
Some pubes.
Maybe he was a swimmer.
Maybe it's like all makeup and see. I don't know.
But only he was alive to talk about it.
It fascinates me.
Next time that Avery Brooks is at a convention, you should ask. It's like
right. in the Crossroads episode, and he's gonna be like, "What episode? The Broken Link Crossroads episode." Okay. Okay. So they start talking about Garrick and everything that he was doing on Romulus. Let's bring it over to our Odo Waxer, our Romulan gardener, Davan. What do you think, Garrick? Do you think he's bullshitting Odo? Do you think he's actually telling him the truth about what he got up to on Romulus? Was he actually a gardener? Would he really give away his cover stories? He would. Okay.
Yeah, he was. He was a gardener. He was a specialist in Adosian orchids. These are all truths as much as Garrick tells them. So yeah.
My specialty
he
was
knows Odo's not going to believe him.
But I think he is. Yeah, that's true. That's the old Garrick like quote where he says, "Oh, but if you tell the truth and people think it's a lie, then it's just as effective." And I do think there is some truth to that. What Garrick's doing here. I do think a lot of times he tells like a true story, but people are always suspicious of him. The Millards. What do you think of that? Do you think that Garrick is, actually trying to bond with Odo here? Or he's just doing what he told Sisko he would do and give him a good story?
Garrick likes to talk about himself and give little clues to stuff he's done in the past. He does it with Bashir when they have lunches, and I think this just feeds Garrick's ego of himself. So he's doing it for himself.
Like any great liar, you weave in truth into all of your lies.
Yes,
right. And it makes them more believable.
That's why he's a tailor. He weaves.
Why is it no one ever believes me, even when I'm telling the truth?
Such a great line.
Were any of them true? Especially the lies. Right?
Especially the lies.
My dear doctor. Yes, I'm sure I have that somewhere.
That's one of the great quotes.
No, I don't. I've got to find that. Sorry.
Okay, so
not on the ready. Sorry.
All right, I want to move on to the next scene anyway, because the next scene is probably my favorite scene in this episode, because it fascinates me. O'Brien is pining about the fact that he walks into his quarters, and Keiko and Kira are talking to each other, and they immediately stop talking, and he compares it to a holosuite program. and says that, he's upset that they were talking about him. And like, at least that's what he thinks. And Sisko says, "You can't be sure of that." And he's like, "No, I know." And he's like, "I'm thinking about having Julian move in with us
to even it out."
Sure. I don't even know
That's
where to
a
start.
sitcom.
Yeah, but how is this not a sitcom? Davan, go. What do you make of this?
Oh
this
man, that's
whole
Three's
situation?
Company, but or like, yeah, it's
Seeking
basically
Sister
Three's
Wife.
Company.
Sister Wives. So is he?
I mean, it would
if
just
it's
be
Three's Company.
Miles
Is
and
he
Julie.
Jack?
Yeah, he is.
So is he going to start wearing like really short shorts?
And it's interesting that he thinks that would make it better. He would just walk into a room and the three of them would stop talking.
That's true.
Keiko's Don Knotts.
That's great.
I think it's a fascinating thing because it explains like O'Brien's like huge insecurity, not only in his marriage, but also with the baby thing happening with another, like with Kira being pregnant with his baby. Also, the fact that this happens again and again with O'Brien, where he literally makes it clear to everybody that I have a closer relationship with Bashir than I do my own wife. and it fascinates me because nobody ever goes like, "Hey, it's like, what's going on here? Are you okay, O'Brien?" Like,
They've all met Keiko.
right. They know.
Although they've all met Bashir too.
Yeah, for that matter.
Worf's like, "Don't talk about it. Don't say anything. Just let it be."
He's like, "I've delivered Keiko's baby. That was, I've been there, done that." Okay.
I hated you when we first met.
I remember.
No, I don't.
No, I don't. No, I would say he actually loves him more than he loves his own wife, which I find
certainly more than Molly.
Yeah.
Right. We don't really hear much about Molly. I couldn't tell you one thing about her.
She giggled.
She giggled at him,
when
and he was like, "What do you think so funny?" And that was kind of like the whole gist of it.
She says I'm trying to live like a bachelor again.
That was
Right.
I thought that wasn't going to be the O'Brien thing that you were.
I didn't even mean to play that. That was an accident.
But that was actually perfect for what's going on here because, like, yeah, he wants to like go hang out with Bashir or have Bashir on his side because he thinks these women are ganging up against him, which I find hilarious. And his insecurity is through the roof.
Go back to Bajor and your plants and Sabar. See if I care.
He doesn't care. He wants to go play James Bond with Bashir on the holiday.
Get those Jerrys. Got to chase those Jerrys over the channel or whatever.
The Jerry's, yes.
Okay, so at that, all right, let's move on. So after that conversation, the Jem'Hadar show up, and then again we have. I don't know if you clipped this, Dave, but please tell me you did. When the Jem'Hadar beam onto the ship, one of them like throat punches O'Brien.
No, he grabbed his chest.
He like grabs his chest or his aorta, and it is. Did you clip that? Because
I didn't clip it. No.
That scene I've just rewatched over and over again. Like,
they
didn't pinch his nipple. Like, he just grabbed him in the middle of his chest, and he's like, "Oh!"
He goes, "Oh!"
And then he just grabbed his shirt. I'm like, what the fuck is he screaming about?
That's one I'll have to go back and get.
Did he stub his toe or some shit?
And then he lets him go, and like the female founder starts talking to Sisko, and I think Worf says to him, like, "Are you okay?" And he just sits there and he goes, "I felt better."
It's so weird.
It is very weird. I don't know.
It takes a while for it to happen. Hold on.
I don't know who decided that was a good idea.
They literally could have shown like 2 feet and 1 foot on top of each other, and it would make more sense to say that these stubbed his toe.
He should have just choked him. Why did he grab the center of his chest? It made no sense. I was so confused.
Does O'Brien have a superfluous nipple there or something?
And he twisted it.
Only Bashir knows about that.
And that's why
But just this reaction is just too good.
Look, it's nowhere near his neck.
He's grabbing his shirt.
He's grabbing his shirt. It's like a hockey fight. You know.
I think it's meant to be like his chest has been like somehow grabbed by his hand. I don't know, but like
a fistful of his chest hair. I mean, that hurt.
He's like, Jesus.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those times where you say "ouch" before, like, and then it doesn't even hurt, but you already like said "ouch." So he's just expecting.
Yeah, you gotta
it to hurt
sell
really
the ouch.
bad.
This Jemadar man, he's rough.
It's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Afterwards,
it goes on for a bit. It's like 3 seconds.
It's a log. It's a long thing, and it's very noticeable in the episode.
And Cisco was like, "Oh."
It's like, oh, I didn't realize O'Brien was a bitch.
What the fuck is going on over there?
He's like, I don't know.
He's crying about Keiko 1 second, and then he's
maybe when Molly was right to giggle at him.
Have the Jemadar found out about the purple nurple? Jeez.
Yeah.
This isn't Peak O'Brien. This episode.
No,
he's having an off day.
Yeah. Okay, so then the female fighters show up, and then they say, okay, we're gonna have to drive the bus here, the Defiant, to our new homeworld. They like to move planets, these founders, because really all they need is somewhere where they can set up a lake, and so that's all they don't really care what piece of rock they're on, as long as it's somewhat secretive and they can set up their little river. So Dax is told, get out of the chair. And she looks at Cisco and is like, Captain. And like, Cisco's like, I don't want to have to tell Dax to get up because she's going to be mad at me later. But get up, Dax. Let Amadagon drive the bus.
Like realistically though, isn't this like best case scenario for them? Like to fly the Defiant into the Gamma Quadrant, get surrounded by these ships. I think just that way that this whole encounter happens, where like they're like, okay, I'll meet them in the transporter room, and then they're like, yeah, we're all just gonna beam in with our guns, and it's like it's a good thing that nobody shot anybody else. The worst case thing was O'Brien got his chest squeezed or something.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
It looked so painful. I'm
Triple
surprised he
nipples.
didn't shoot.
but the fact that they even let the Defiant get that close to their planet, where Garrick almost tried to murder the entire changeling race and commit genocide. I think that this is like the fact that Dax is like, what do I do? Should I give up my seat to this Jemadar? He's not even honored elder.
Right. And she knows all about the honored elders.
So I guess I'm more annoyed with Dax than I am with Cisco.
Davan, do you feel annoyed with Dax?
No, not really.
Jaemeel, do you feel annoyed with Dax here? Do you think she should just, understand the gravity of the situation here?
Who's Dax?
Who is Dax?
Sorry.
Is there
What I
gravity in the situation?
What I didn't
We need a
understand-
crusher.
Maybe you can answer the question for me, Jeff. So they couldn't know the location, how to get there. How did they get back? Did they get back on their own? So
I think it's kind of like, when you're driving in like a city you've never been and you end up getting there and you're like, how do we get here? Like, yeah, we followed the directions, but you know, but then you like to leave. You're like, I just need to find the highway. And I think they end up finding the highway.
They said they got escorted out of Dominion space, and at that point, like they were allowed to leave.
They were on the highway.
Yeah.
So
they could figure.
Were the Dominion on the ship until they left Dominion space, and then they took out the jammer,
I would presume so. Yes.
Buster. I don't know. That's a lot of
I think
thought
that
process.
Jemadar guy probably drove at least halfway back to the wormhole and then said, "Okay, your ship again. See you later."
Do you think it's weird that there were no like there was no Wayun in this episode. Like there was no Vorta.
No
He's
Vorta.
killed.
Mm.
Yeah, no Vorta. They could have put a Vorta in this, a different Vorta, but they didn't.
But I think that would have been too complicated because then you'd have to do all that exposition, and they're like, no, we just keep it very specific to this situation. And plus, because it was involving Odo, there would be more of a personal touch that would be needed, which would be why the founder was there as opposed to a representative.
Yeah, a Vorta would just take away dialogue from some lone gens, you know. So.
Yeah. Yes, and she is scary, and let's get to her. So she ends up going down to the sick bay and wants to talk to Odo. She basically says, doctor, get the hell out of here. Garrick, you too. And Garrick goes to start talking to her, and Bashir has to stop him.
Later.
She says she pulls a RoboCop and goes, "Bitches leave." Bitches leave.
Just leave. And and Odo says it's okay. She's probably gonna help me. We'll see. Even though she's pretty evil. She does her little trick and turns him into a liquid and kind of half cures him. Kind of subsides the disease at least for now until they can get to their Great Link River. This whole scene is kind of terrifying. What do you guys make of the female founder? The fact that she never gets a name, I think, is a mistake. Dave, did you like the female founder as a foe? She's going to be here to the end. You know, she's a good actress. I think she's plays a bad guy well, but I always kind of, I feel like they could have given her more.
How so?
Just as far as explaining, like this is one of the only episodes where they really go to the changeling homeworld. We really understand any of their motivations. A lot of their motivations are kind of always, to me, ambiguous. And so I kind of wish there was just a little bit more background as to what do the changelings really want.
I never felt it was that ambiguous. I always kind of understood they're mostly just scared. Right, they were hunted, persecuted some time ago. Like these legends that Wayun will tell later on in the series, that that everyone hated them because of their, so that's kind of why they created the Dominion, was to protect themselves, because they think that that's how they protect themselves, by controlling the solids and subjugating them, and that's their goal. And so and they think themselves better than the rest of us, or the rest of the other life forms. So they're gods, or whatever they want to tell themselves. So I never thought, I guess, maybe the fact that she doesn't have a name, sure, that the changelings, she likes to say the drop becomes the ocean becomes the drop. But I don't think it's that simple. I think that there are individual changelings. I think that they have their individual personalities. She's even talking about it in the Great Link. There's much debate, and some want to kill you and some don't want to. And so obviously that they have their own individual personalities. And so does she, but she's just called founder. Because that's a solid thing, like names and just everything is detestable about their existence, right? To her, she only cares about Odo, and she only takes this form because she cares about Odo, because it's her family member. But what happens when your family is evil?
Right. I guess that is the conundrum that Odo finds himself in. And then you have to ask your evil family member not only for help, but to save your life. And that's kind of the whole plot device of this episode. It's both Bashir and Odo are we don't have to ask these people for help, but we have to here, because Odo's going to die if he doesn't go get judged.
Right.
And I would like to talk quickly about the Bone Thugs and Harmony song called The Crossroads. And I would just like to read a couple of the lyrics here, because I think it relates to this episode. So it starts off...
Just because of this background?
Yes, and the background. Right. It says, now tell me what you're going to do when there ain't nowhere to run. Tell me what? When judgment comes for you.
Judgment comes for you.
And what you're going to do.
When there ain't no place to hide.
Tell me what? When judgment comes for you, because it's going to come for you. I mean, that relates quite a bit to this episode. It's coming here for Odo from the founders. They want to judge him for the killing of a founder. And then no changeling has ever hurt another changeling. And that's the whole debate that occurs throughout this episode, which I don't believe, because I do think that's change.
They all decided to hurt Odo in this episode.
Exactly. No, even before that, it's like, what are you guys doing to me? Because I feel hurt, right? And no one's saying sorry, so
It backfires on them, though.
It does. Oh, they get judged hard. They get they're judged.
It backfires on them because is this not when they get infected?
Yeah, it is.
This episode?
Yeah, in theory, yeah.
Federation gave it to him. I was right in the first place. The Federation started this whole thing.
No, they gave him. They gave him this. They gave him another disease that was like slower moving and doesn't like really hit them until years later. Yeah. But the condition he has here too. Maybe
conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I guess. So.
I think you're onto something, Davan.
I think they did it all.
Yes. Well,
Section 31.
I wouldn't put Section 31 or any admiral for that matter.
Who Garrett now
or Red Squad.
Or Red Squad.
Oh,
Jaemeel,
probably.
Do you think Red Squad could be behind this?
No.
No, they're not smart.
That isn't ambitious enough. Slow acting.
Are they dead yet?
Virus? No, not yet.
No,
they haven't died yet. Yeah.
A slow moving virus is not Red Squad style.
No,
no,
it's not.
You did some sloppy work. Some damn sloppy work.
Red Squad style would be like, let's go in and try and blow up 14 Jem'Hadar ships because we've spotted one weakness that we're not even really sure of.
There should have been a Red Squad Garrick episode. That would have been great.
They would just try to turn off all the lights on the ship. And then
this is where we all chant Red Squad.
Fucking mission.
Red Squad. Red Squad.
Red Squad.
He's a captain. He cared about us. No, he didn't. He was an idiot.
Where do we get to that episode?
I'll remember to put that in your tombstone.
I just picture the Jem'Hadar boarding like the Valiant, and they're just being, "You can't board us. We're Red Squad."
And then they start chanting Red Squad.
Yeah, exactly.
They better make fun of that on lower decks at some point.
Oh, please! Didn't they make a reference to Red Squad?
I don't know if they did. If they did, that's great. Okay, so then we get the conversation here that we alluded to earlier about Garrick talking about like, hey, I'm here to talk to you about the Cardassians. Were there any survivors? Like, my dad. I think, or was his dad was on that mission in Auburn.
Yeah, but we don't know he's his dad yet.
Right. So there were survivors. So she's lying here because he's actually in a camp right now, right, with Martok.
She's probably not even concerned with the details.
Right, but she goes out of her way to basically I feel like she knows what she's doing. Like she's basically poking Garrick to do something stupid. Because I think she kind of she knows a lot about people's motivations, and they have a lot of spies, I think, themselves. And I think she kind of knows telling Garrick like, oh, they're all dead, and Cardassia is a cesspool of darkness and death, and we hate the Cardassians, don't you know, and all this kind of stuff. They were doomed the moment they attacked us. All this kind of stuff, which is ironic because they'll be allies not even a season from now.
Not even. Well, yeah. Like, when does Gul Dukat start those negotiations to join the Dominion? Like, it's while he's still on the bird of prey, obviously. But I'm a little.
It's probably after the information about what happens in this episode trickles back to Cardassia. Because if you're the Cardassians, you're thinking, well, they're going to be setting their sights on us, right? They're saying that we're already an afterthought of dead. They've already trampled us. They just haven't put down their heel, right? So from that perspective, it's like, okay, we're going to pivot. The Federation isn't looking like they're willing to do what they need to do. The Klingons are there acting crazy. We need to figure out what's best for us as a society to move on, right? And it would make sense to start that negotiation. I think this is the start of it. with the information we have.
That's a good point. I never thought about that. That the Cardassians, or even if Gul Dukat, could have used that information to get them to join. Say, what do you know? Like, I know you all don't want to join the Dominion, but they're going to come kill us. They said so.
And who's going to stop them?
And if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah,
which seems like a Cardassian thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then we get to see where Odo shows up in their 10-4 forward and basically says, "Hey guys, if you're planning anything and inject me with weird transporter molecules, don't. How can you make me run? I'm going toward justice. I've been bringing people to justice my whole life, and now it's my turn to be judge. I can't have you, save me and pull me out of this. I got to go do this, basically." And Bashir looks thrilled. And so I think all this kind of makes sense. It's true to Odo's character. He's the lawman, and the lawman's being brought in on charges. And, so that part's kind of, interesting to me. But at the same time, they can't do anything anyway. They're surrounded by a fleet of Jem'Hadar ships. What are they going to do?
Yeah, even these, I don't know. That's the thing. It's best case scenario, you're gonna get to go to that planet. They're gonna help Odo, and you get to go home, and that's kind of what happens.
Yeah. Speaking of which, they beam down. Bashir and Sisko beam down with Odo. Now, are they standing on actual Earth, or are they? Is that other changelings creating that Earth for them to stand on?
That's great. You guys don't join the Great Lake. You won't be a part of the proceedings. You just have to stay there.
You guys just have to be somewhere where the Sisko and Bashir can stand. So you're create a mountain or something. Whatever you got. Which I also love in this episode where Bashir picks up a stone and is like, "Yeah, I'm gonna skip
a rock
across the river here." I don't know, and Sisko has to stop him and be like, "Bashir, these are big things. What are you doing? Shouldn't it have been the other way around? Shouldn't it have been Sisko picking up the stone and the doctor?" But they didn't do that, which is smart. I'm glad they didn't. But
if it was
They would've
3
threw
days,
it back.
if it was 3 days, they would have to stay. Where are they pissing and shitting?
Was it actually 3 days? Did they say that?
They didn't
Into
stay
the
3
water?
days.
They didn't say how long it had really been.
No, but they said it could be 3 days, right?
Yeah, they lost track of time.
Just look at his face there, though. Oh, right, changelings.
Right. Yeah, it's not obvious. It doesn't look like water.
Since people in Star Trek, you never see them go to the bathroom, I always just assume they have a hypo spray that makes them not have to. It's a theory.
Or they all wear or they all wear Pampers or something. Depends.
I was like, they could have brought a chair.
They don't have to pee in the 24th century.
The changelings could have created them a chair. They made it purposely look uncomfortable, I think, here for them to have to wait.
They also didn't have to go,
No.
And so, but they wanted to just show support to their friend, just to outdo Kira, and they succeed.
They didn't do any research and provide some 11th hour, hey, mention this, in all the courtroom judge dramas. This is the most boring trial you've ever seen, because you see nothing except the judgment, right?
Yeah.
It's literally, hey, let's watch the guys who are outside of the courtrooms sitting around while the action happens on the inside, right?
You don't even see the judgment. They're just oh, so how was the judgment? They just ask
tarred
him about it.
Without tarred and
All you
feathered.
see is one scene of Odo.
Yeah, that's not a great moment.
They were pimping his chest
they were
hair as
pissing-
well. That's why he doesn't have any anymore.
They
He
ripped
was-
all his hair
He was
out.
being waxed.
Yeah,
in the
He was
beginning.
being, yeah, I gotta hear.
It was their scene of the 40-year-old virgin,
Yes.
where they were ripping all the hair out. Yeah, hot wax.
Like he's like a 12-year-old boy or something. Like,
I don't know how they did it. Like how they shot this fascinates me.
and Rene Auberjonois was like a grown man by this point. Like I don't get it.
He was like probably in his 50s, I would imagine.
Yeah,
right?
at least,
I think
like,
older than that.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, look it up. How old was he at this point?
But yeah, he doesn't look wrinkly at all. Like how they shot, like, how they made him look like that is fast. Was he wearing a green suit? I don't know. But
He was
whatever.
56.
He has a good
at this
Odo
point.
waxer.
Yeah. Okay, so then we get the scene where Worf sneaks up on Garrick trying to override the launch controls for the quantum torpedoes. He was also trying to get into the phasers as well, but he didn't have the time. So we get this great scene here between Worf and Garrick. Dave, you alluded to it before that you didn't realize that this was this important or this long.
Yeah.
Is this the best scene for you in the episode? It is pretty great.
It was just a little treat for me because I didn't remember it at all. I didn't remember that this happened. It makes sense. Why Garrick's doing it. I think this little fight between Garrick and Worf is an interesting setup for some of their later on pairings. Notably in season 5, they'll be put together in Purgatory's Shadow or by Inferno's Light, or one of those, or all of those. And they do have great chemistry together, like these two actors, and when they write them together, he's like, tell Garrick Cardassian spies are not allowed on the ship. That's just the way it is,
Well, I think it's also because what happens in this conversation, Dave, is Garrick uses his Klingon sentiments against him, where he's like, you're a Klingon, you know all about a little genocide every now and then to get what you
Mr.
need.
Worf, you're a Klingon. Don't tell me you'd object to a little genocide in the name of self-defense.
He sees it as self-defense, right? He took the female founder's words as a direct threat towards Cardassia,
and they were.
Yeah.
It's not self-defense though; it's revenge.
It's
self-defense
a bit of both.
genocide's a hard one to argue.
It's hard.
No, it was self-defense genocide, I swear. It's it wasn't overkill. No.
Do we honestly threaten me? So I just killed them all.
So what I was alluding to before about the founders, I think, is the fact that we only really know the female founder and Odo and the one guy he killed, and the O'Brien guy from the one episode. We only get one note of the founders. They're all bad and they're all evil, which I don't think is the truth. I think there's you said, Dave, in this episode, she said there's a big debate. That means there's people on Odo's side and saying
I feel the founders as an organization could have been done more. It didn't all have to be this one actor, Salome Jens. I think and same with Weyoun. He was an interesting character, but I don't think he didn't play every Vorta. We'll meet that other Vorta next season in that great episode with the ship. Where the Loris, I think is her name. I think that. Sorry, where was I going with this? I'm losing my thoughts.
Just the founders, yeah.
Well, the founders, there could have been more of them. They could have been a bit more sympathetic. There's the other one that J.G. Hertzler plays later on, Claus, I think his name is, or the other changeling that was one of the babies that were sent out.
Yeah.
He doesn't know anything about the founders of the Dominion either, and it's interesting to meet him and see what he's like, right? And how he's kind of changed over all those years, and how he is kind of like them. And so, what is in the nature of a changeling, and what is sort of their choice? I think that is only really demonstrated between Odo and this one other founder that we see, right? So it's a bit one note.
It is a bit one note, and I think there was more to explore, like we were saying. But so then Odo gets judged here at the crossroads, and he comes out of it, looking like just a naked 50-year-old, 12-year-old boy cross. I don't know what's going on. Very confusing. So they transport him up. Bashir checks him out, says, "Oh no, now he's a solid. He's got a heart. He's, they basically said, you don't get to be one of us anymore, sucker. See you later." So he's been judged, and At first, Odo, I think, is
That's a shot.
That clef.
This everything about this shot. It intrigues me, confuses me.
Reminds me of the Last Supper.
No, like
Bloody
it's
double.
Da Vinci. It, like, shouldn't the founder go and touch him, like in the finger point?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Sistine Chapel.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sistine Chapel. Sorry.
She should be
Michelangelo.
floating on a cloud.
Yeah. I don't know. Is Bashir just trying not to look at Odo's junk? Is that what's going? I feel like that's what's going on here.
In this moment, in this perfect moment, yes.
And so is Cisco, but the female founder looking directly at it.
Yeah,
Right.
we gave him what he wanted.
He is
I will
fully
give
equipped.
to you, Odo.
He's fully equipped. To
He is a
satisfy.
solid now. Let me tell you.
Kira, we're going on a date. Okay, so yeah. Poor Odo, yes. They take his blood. Now his blood, he's red blood, so I guess is he human? Did they turn him into a human?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Okay, a couple questions about this whole transformation that he goes through. If the founders can do this, if they can make one of their own into like a permanent solid, into a living body without the need to regenerate, why wouldn't they do this for their like spies and some of like their long-term operatives, right? Like the
Because
Bashir's changeling.
They value them too much.
But they can reverse it because Odo gets reversed.
I know, but there's still a chance that they could die.
I guess it's okay, but then but to go through like the hassle of blood screenings and everything else in the name of like I don't know their war effort. The other thing too,
but the Federation are dumb though and slow to adapt. So for the most part, them and their technology can get around it. Look how far they got in the first place before the Federation really started stepping up things. So
yeah. Okay, my second question is why did they choose to make him a human?
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Why not a Bajoran?
Why not a Romulan?
They were tracing. They had two humans there. It was like tracing, right?
It was a tracing.
Yeah,
You fucking tracer!
I'll trace a chocolate around your dead fucking body. Should have made him into a Cardassian. That would have been perfect.
Yeah, I think that's the only that's the answer that makes the most sense. Just because there happened to be two humans standing there, that was the easiest choice. But he was like raised by Bajorans. He's in love with this Bajoran woman. He works for the Bajoran militia. It makes more sense to make him Bajoran.
He gets type O negative. He gets type O negative blood. Is that universal donor or universal receiver?
Yeah, that's what I got.
That's universal.
Donor.
It's actually it's a rare blood type too.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
they call
wait,
me all the time.
What happens?
Are you an O negative, Davan?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
I got your back.
You're less than
You're
1% of the population.
You're like Odo. Maybe you're a secret changeling. Okay. We
What
watch it for you.
happens when he gets changed?
Davan infected him. He's in league with Garrick.
Yeah. And Jill Jacobs.
Jill Jacobson.
Jill
Jacobson.
She's a Jacobson. Okay. Speaking of Jill Jacobson, let's get to the scene where Garrick is fitting Odo for a new suit. It's in Incarian wool. It's itchy. Odo doesn't like it, but he's
It's the Incarian wool. You'll get used to it.
He will? I don't think he will. He has very smooth skin. I don't think he was smart with his choice of clothing.
Okay, can I get this scene? He says, okay, now that you've done your job, now it's time to do mine. Time to take you to jail, right? So is like Garrick out on bail here?
He's under supervision of the of his jailer.
They're like, okay, we're gonna throw you in a holding cell for he's getting 6 months in the slammer, Jeff. But first, we need you to get him a new suit.
Even more importantly, has Odo been naked the entire time?
Yes.
Boy, he was wearing those hospital scrubs and the
He had to assert his dominance on the promenade. So it was just
What does Odo do? Like, if they had like Odo trying to figure out how to go to the bathroom and stuff, I think that would have been gold. But they didn't do that. Yeah, 3 seashells.
Yeah,
Well,
like
even
the first time he has to take a dump. What is that
Yeah.
like for him?
Well, he does at some point talk about how unpleasant the digestive
Process,
is.
Right.
Yeah, there's a bit of a time jump in the next episode.
That's in the next
So,
next episode. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he doesn't have anything to eat yet. So, like,
how does he know he's hungry? How does he know he's not? I don't know, like queasy.
Do you
is he
guys
like
think
a baby where they like try to figure out what it's like?
He just starts
something's
crying
wrong.
until someone tries all the things. Put a blanket on him, feed him, change his diaper.
Do you guys think it was a mistake that now he's a solid? Do you think that they should have done something with his makeup or made him look less like Odo?
Yes.
Yeah, they should have given him a season off of getting the makeup put on.
And look, he should have looked like just like Rene Auberjonois.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Save that money.
But there must have been a reason they did it. Like,
because I think they didn't because he's like I think he's Odo's the character. Like if they had done that like with Data, for instance, right? And like all of a sudden Data just was like the like flesh tone and was like Brent Spiner, I think everyone would have went, well, that's not Data.
like imagine if all of a sudden Jonathan Frakes had a beard. Wait, he did. Like so, like,
but I think that tested well. You know what? They probably tested it, and that was the reason why.
He showed up to the first day of shooting of season 2 with the beard. He was going to shave it, and the producers were like, "Actually, we like it. Keep it."
Yeah, I know that. But like the thing with I guess the syndicated TV show, what they were trying to go for at this time was like you have to keep people static. You have to like that's why like their outfits don't change very much. Maybe more in Deep Space Nine than any of the other shows, but largely they look the same through all these seasons because they want you to watch the episode without having to worry. What season is this? Where does it fit into the order? Deep Space Nine throws that out.
Window, it's the one series where it's like you should know what season it is, you should know what episode because it's so serial.
Yes, but I think those are just like notes that come down from like Rick Berman and those guys at the top at the time, and they're like costume change, makeup change to Rene Auberjonois. I'm not approving that. Yeah, he's a human, but he still has to look like he normally does.
Or they got the note that is like, hey, we're gonna save about 20,000 next season by not having him makeup. Can we refund, take that money and use it for something else? No, man. If you're gonna save that money, we'll pocket it. It's like no. Okay, we're gonna use it then. We're gonna use it.
They might have done it if he was going to be human for the rest of the show, but knowing that they were going to change him back to a changeling, they weren't going to have him different for that middle season.
But like I do think like every time you see him from now on until he becomes a changeling again, you're like, well, like I don't even like remember until they bring it up. Oh yeah, right, he's a human.
Yeah, but they always bring it up just to make sure you know.
Yeah,
right. They go out. You're right. They do. They go out of their way to tell you. Okay. All right. So yeah. So then we get to Jill Jacobs in the middle of it all, and she goes, "Hey, remember when I shook your hand and gave you that disease?"
Garrett
she didn't give him a disease, Jeff.
She's not. Look at her.
She wants to give him an STD, maybe.
Yeah, she could give him a disease now.
Yeah. She's like, I'm purposely going to be strutting my stuff, and she's like, arcs her back as she turns. She's like, check out the merchandise.
Oh yeah, she does. There's a turn here. I gotta pull it up. Sorry, it takes a second for them to. He's like, hey, he's into her. He was interested.
Well,
yeah,
no, not really.
I agree, Ashley.
I don't think she's
Kinda
into
looks
him.
like Kira.
Into her.
Here it is. This is a walk away move here.
You missed what happens in between that, but yes.
Can I never win?
No, I'm not telling you to go look at bring it up. I'm just saying. Ashley, I agree. I think the more interesting part is that one, she's into him, and two, she's similar enough to Kira and the thought that he has to think about now. Because before he kind of separated that, now he has to start thinking of that aspect of his humanoid self.
Right. He could actually be with Kira now and give Kira what she wants. And,
Give her what she wants.
Well, I don't think he felt like he could before. He could never connect with her. He was different. He was, and then he kind of says here at the end of this episode with Cisco, like, I could never rejoin the league. All I have now is my job. And like Cisco's like, yeah, but you're pretty good at your job. I mean, notwithstanding when you let people die on my station, but other than that, you're a pretty damn good cold case guy, Odo. And
he's a good cold case guy.
Yeah, I love this quote.
You're the best law enforcement officer in this sector. Maybe the whole damn quadrant.
Maybe.
Inaccurate.
I think Worf's a better law enforcement officer.
For sure.
Maybe.
That's a great debate 9. Who is a better law enforcement officer? Odo or Worf?
Next time on Debate 9. Let's do it now. No.
You got 30 seconds. Go. Okay. Okay, so then we get the cliffhanger for season 4 here at the end, where Gowron is talking about he has no choice to go. He's on the screen. He has no choice but to go into Arcanus 4 or whatever sector. And
going into who's what?
He's going into the Arcanus 4.
They're just going to gently glide in.
They're going in.
Oh, geez.
You resist us in any way.
Power.
There will be
war. I don't want to go in on warp. That would hurt.
And then Odo figures out, I was in the Great Link, and that guy.
Thrusters only.
Sorry, Jeff.
No worries. Just Wolf, Odo, do not resist us. So no, we have here that basically a war is coming with the Klingons, but then Odo figures out that Gowron is actually changing, but he's not. He's actually wrong. But that doesn't matter because it sets them on their mission to go figure out who actually is the changeling.
They were trying to hide the names and faces of specific peoples. He was one of those names. He was one of those faces.
But
it was a great cliffhanger. It was a great cliffhanger because this is the end of the season. It's gonna be months until, even though they will film the episode that comes after this, Apocalypse Now. Or Apocalypse Rising. Apocalypse Now is a movie. Apocalypse Rising. Right after this, like they don't wrap the season at this point. They film the other episode that comes after this, and then they go on break.
I think they mixed. Like, okay, I know I'm spoiling the next episode, but the fact that it's not Gowron makes you think, like, what the hell does Odo know?
Because they incepted him.
Yeah, they wanted him to think that Gowron was the changeling when it was really Martok.
Oh, they went down 3 levels?
Yes.
They wanted them to assassinate Gowron.
Yeah.
And then Martok would have taken over.
Then Martok would take over.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the whole plan. Oh, I see. Okay. So Odo, I guess that is, I mean, how many there's a lot of changelings and they're all working against him for the most part. So that must be tough.
It's like, that hurt me, dude. Are you going to get judged? That hurt my feelings. Should count.
Okay. I think that's it here for season 4, but we need to get to some double F. All right. Double F with Jeff coming at you. Broken Link
power.
A little thruster power, a little smooth seal action. Okay. Broken Link is unique for a Star Trek season finale, as the story for the episode came from a freelance writer. That's very strange. George A. Brozak, rather than the writing team. So just some random dude said, hey, wouldn't it be a good idea if Odo, got a disease and had to go to, like, how did this happen? Like, what random guy was like, hey, like, I got an idea. I mean, should I just write a script for like a random show I like and send it in and maybe they'll use it? I think it might work. I think this proves it. George A. Brozak proved it. Okay. Reportedly, a German dubbed version mistranslated 2 crucial lines with hilarious results. You're going to want to hear this.
Who's that?
Yeah, that was one of them. Odo to Dr. Bashir during a physical exam says, quote, "You don't know enough about our physiology," end quote. And that became, quote, "You don't know enough about our philosophy." End quote. And Klingon Chancellor Gowron says, quote, "Our claim to Arcanus is indisputable," end quote, which became, "Our claim to Arcanus is
what now?
Our claim to Arcanus is inscrutable."
I think he says like ancient is what he says or something like that.
Yeah. Inscrutable in English has the dictionary definition of impossible to understand or interpret.
Works.
It's inconceivable.
It's inconceivable. You don't even understand why we have a claim to Arcanus. Okay. The comment Garrick makes about Shallan Arroya's dress is, quote, "A thing of beauty is a joy forever," end quote, is from book 1 of Endymion by John Keats, who is also mentioned in The Muse. Oh, okay. So it's the fake character that they came up. I get it. Okay. Leslie
They mentioned
Bevis
Keats in bad episodes.
Yeah. Leslie Bevis's character is finally named in the script for this episode, Rionage.
And then she's never seen again.
Right. Bevis previously appeared in The Homecoming and The Abandoned, as previously mentioned. Salome Jens, who plays the female changeling, previously appeared as the ancient humanoid in a Next Generation episode, The Chase. I didn't know that.
The one that's they sowed the seeds of all the humanoids.
Cyril Lofton does not appear in this episode. This is the only season finale he does not appear in. Jago. He wasn't needed.
If they weren't able to get Garrick to appear, he would have been the bedside accomplice for Odo.
It's Jake.
Stories.
Jake Sisko, remember me?
I don't remember you sometimes, Jake. I forget you're on this show. Okay. In this episode, Odo is officially disgraced and rejected by his people, making him the 4th regular character alienated from his race as punishment. The other 3 being Worf in The Way of the Warrior, Quark in Body Parts, and Garrick prior to the start of this series.
Well, yeah, I was like, who's the 4th? Okay, Garrick, I guess. But yeah, like the fact that they did this to Quark in the episode that came right before this, and they did this to Worf, even though they had already done this to Worf in like Next Gen, they do it to him again for Deep Space Nine. And it's the same season as this. They love doing this. Is it effective? Does it work? I guess it does, right? Like
it works in the episode, but not in like the series.
I think the Worf one works to show how erratic Gowron is.
Yeah,
right.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't they should have did to Sisko?
Sisko does kind of get it at some point from the Bajorans, no?
Oh, I was going to say from his father.
No, from his father too. Yeah. Odo's final pose on the rocky island is reminiscent of Michelangelo's painting of Adam on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel.
Yep.
That is really funny. That was a good call there, Jaemeel.
Kevin said it.
Oh, did Kevin? All right, sorry, Kevin.
I thought you were gonna say something like that pose took like 47 takes.
All I could notice was nobody wanted to look at his junk, so I
except for Salome Jens.
Okay. After Odo is turned into a humanoid, he's confused to experience hunger for the first time. A very similar scene occurs in Deja Q in the Next Gen episode, in which Q, recently condemned to being human, also has trouble understanding his first pangs of hunger. Yeah, so I guess Odo and Q are kind of similar. Okay. After Odo is returned to Sisko and Bashir on the Founder's homeworld, he assumes the same posture as from Michelangelo's creation of Adam. As they beam up, he points at the Founder, who is in the same position as God in the painting, perhaps foreshadowing the revelation that just as the Founders created Odo as a man, they were the progenitor race of all humanoids. Yeah, so they are superior. I guess that's what they're trying to, say. Okay. This episode is a sequel of sorts to the 3rd season finale, The Adversary, insofar as it is here that Odo receives his punishment for killing a fellow changeling in that episode. He regains his ship-shaping ability in the 5th season episode, The Begotten. So we'll get to that. Okay, a couple more. When Garrick confronts the female changeling as to how many Cardassians survived the attack on the Dominion, she responds with a cold, firm threat: "They're dead. You're dead. Cardassia is dead." This would foreshadow the Founders' resolve to mass exterminate the population on Cardassia in the series finale. Which, yeah, I always forget about that. They really don't like the Cardassians.
She goes, kill all the Cardassians. He goes, which Cardassians? And she goes, all of them. Kill them. I told that boy on that ship many years ago we were going to kill them all.
Well, it was all for the fact that Enabran Tain planned that attack on their homeworld. I think was like that's where the hatred comes from.
It was also the Romulans. Don't forget they were involved too.
Yeah, she doesn't seem to hate them as much.
She doesn't like them either.
Right.
She hates it. They hate all the solids. They don't care which faction they're from. They're all the same to them, and they all need to be put in their place as far as the Founders are concerned, or die.
Except the Jem'Hadar and the Vorta,
which they created. So yeah, and even
They're
them,
already in their place.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Okay, and finally, final double F. Odo guesses that Garrick, years earlier, murdered a Romulan dignitary and made it look like an accident. Later on in the series, Garrick would do that exact thing to another Romulan.
It's a fake.
Senator Vreenak.
Okay, and that is it. Let's move it on over to ratings, Dave.
All right, over to ratings. All right. What's this episode called? Broken Link?
Bork and Link. I think the Swedish chef wrote it.
Yes. Bork. Jeff, you want to give us a rating?
Give this about an 8. I think that's what it deserves.
Oh my.
I'm gonna go 8.
7.9.
9.
9. Kevin?
8.
Wow, you all like this a lot more than I do. I'm gonna just want a 7.
Commander.
Commander. I'm just trying to get to the IMDb rating because I hadn't looked it up yet. I was slacking.
It's 8.3.
8.3 with 1,600 votes. Okay. And as we mentioned, this is directed by Les Landau. Story by that random guy, George, what's his name?
Shot his shot. Way to go.
He did it. He figured it out. He's like, what if they made Odo a solid? Actually, it's a good idea. And the teleplay by these two. And this aired June 17th, 96. Where were you, Jeff?
96.
I was, I don't know, probably sitting on a couch. It was, probably wasn't. It was probably working at school. 7 years old, doing my thing.
Doing your thing.
This time of night?
This time of night.
So, Jeff, season 4 is over.
Let's get season. So yeah, what was our overall rank here? Oh, 7.8. It's
not much better than season 3.
You liked it the most, Dave. You were a very big fan. You were in the 8s.
I was. I because I like Star Trek.
Hey, I gave a lot of 10s, but I think the Muse brought my score down a lot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this big zero you have here, we should bold just so we don't forget. Yeah,
you deserved every bit of it.
See, the thing is, Dave, the lowest score I think you even gave in this season was a 4.4, and that's
2. I gave it 2. I gave it 2
session. See, and someone gave it a 7, Kevin. So and Davan both liked the session. I didn't like it.
Well, that's a good one. It's the Shattered Mirror that's the clunker in this season.
I think I was fairly consistent.
Yeah, me too. I'm kind of. I think I'm at a 7.5 for the season. Jameel's at 7.6.
Well, on average, we were all higher on season 4 than we were on season 3. But just.
I think season 5 and 6 are going to be over 8 for most of us.
Season 5 is my favorite season.
Yeah, I think season 5 is going to be good because guess what happens in season 5? New uniforms.
Well, that's how you know it's good. But yeah, so thank you all for joining us here for season 4 of D699ish. Dave, what do we have coming up here on Live Long and Podcast and also Super Mario Bros podcasting? We also have trivial debates. There's
all
lots
those.
going on.
We're busy. On Mondays, we talk about Star Trek Enterprise. And we've been talking, right, Kevin? We were on that. Yeah. And you want to know about Star Trek Enterprise? Watch that on Monday nights with us. Davin's off in the comments trying to convince us this is better than it is. But it's, it's all good. We talk about...
Is that what I'm doing?
No.
That's what I'm doing?
That's more
speaking the truth.
Yeah. It's good.
To
it's
bacteria.
Good. And then on... what else do we got going on? Thursday, we're going to be talking about Star Trek Prodigy. The new episode 7, I guess it's going to be for this first season. I don't know if you guys have been checking it out, but I would recommend it.
It's going to be hard to top that last one.
So we're going to be talking about that with Davan and Jessica Chan this Thursday. We also have Star Trek Radio Theater, which is on hiatus right now just because I'm not well. I meant to edit this weekend, but this will be edited, the Star Trek First Contact. And
we'll get to it when you get to it.
I'll get to it when I get to it, guys. This is how it's gonna go.
The live version is still available.
It's still there. It's still there. And then Super Mario Brothers podcasting. We got all kinds of stuff going on. Not right now, but we will. We got Big Brother Celebrity coming in the new year here.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
who's playing? Do we know?
We don't know. We don't know yet. We know Julie Chen will be involved. A new season of Survivor coming up in March. We're gonna probably talk about that. New season of Big Brother Canada coming in March, presumably. And then Big Brother USA, and we're also we talk about the next Marvel property to continue our MCU coverage, which will probably be Doctor Strange, right?
In May, unless they release a TV series before then, but I don't think so. April, I think Mando is done, possibly. I'm not sure. Boba Fett or whatever the thing is called. I don't know.
Yeah, Boba Fett is a gangster guy. And then, and then Trivial Debates, our monthly show where we argue about movies, TV, sports. Davan will be hosting the January 2022 edition to kick off season 5 of Trivial Debates. So check that out. Mm-hmm. And then also check out Davan's podcast, Locutors of Trek. I'm going to be on that tomorrow night to do the trivia. Is Ashley
assuming you're still alive?
Assuming I can make it, yeah.
Commander.
Got a new host, Ashley.
Other direction. You have to go.
It's backwards.
Yeah.
Why can I put over Kevin's head here?
You should also check out Davin's X-Men podcast, X-Rated, where he talks about X-Men the animated series. I watched that episode this morning, the one you talked about today, the Colossus one.
Yeah, Tuesday. Enter the Juggernaut.
Now, into the Juggernaut.
The unstoppable Juggernaut.
Yes. He's no mutant.
Fireworks?
Yeah. Watch out, Juggernaut. Here comes Jubilee.
Baby cuddles again?
Yeah. Anyway, so all those great things, check those things out. And that's about as much energy as I have left. So.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Thank you for that. Be sure to catch all those great shows that we have here. Did we mention Locutors of Trek?
Yeah. And don't forget, let's talk about fighting games. Check it on Spotify.
Right. We don't forget about that. So for all of us here at D699, thank you for joining us here on season 4. We will say, see you at the crossroads. Bone, 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 bone. Bone, bone.
Bone, 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 bone.
And if we can...
Okay.
Come now, Mr. Worf. You're a Klingon. Don't tell me you'd object to a little genocide in the name of self-defense.